Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Fight Stories. I'm Tyler Morrison. This episode is brought to you by Absolute Nature's CBD. Head over to absolutenaturecbd.com. Fire up the promo code Goon Squad. They're going to set you up with 20% off of all of their 100% natural CBD products. Get in there, absolutenaturecbd.com. Big thanks to them for being sponsors of the podcast and to you guys for supporting it. Guys, we have an amazing episode for you today. We were so excited. We went down to Delhi, Ontario, small little town in tobacco country. This place, many people probably never been there before, but it's actually home to one of the greatest warriors of all time in the NHL. He's just an absolute beauty. If you go on YouTube and check out his fights, I swear to God, it's a laundry list of who's who, of the toughest of the tough, and all knockdown, drag-out brawls. I don't think he was ever in a boring fight. Guys, today, without further ado, I bring you the episode you've all been waiting for, Mr. Ryan Vandenbussche.
All right. Guys, thanks for coming out to Spiky Ball Studio tonight. We'll just give you a quick intro as to what Fight Stories is because there was no volume on the video. We've been, me and Tyler, this fucking podcast was born out of the fact that I've been in probably like 30 street fights, and my next stand-up comedy album, I was going to do 6 wins, 6 losses, and a tie. And the tie was when my brother called me drunk at 3 o'clock in the morning, and a guy robbed him in Toronto and held a knife to his throat. So he saw the house that he went into. So I decided that the best steps of action would be to show up at the house over $12 worth of fucking silver jewelry and knock on the guy's front door. And I pound on the guy's door, and this biker opens the door. And he looks at me, and I got a couple buddies there, and he steps out, and he goes, "Listen, kid, you look like a pretty big kid, but I just got out of jail. I've been in so many fights, it doesn't matter if I win or lose another one." And I was like, oh, fuck. It just took the wind right out of my sails, right? So that was the tie. The kid came out and gave back this fucking piddly jewelry. So I was telling Tyler, I was like, we always got these fight stories, and whenever I go home, me and my buddies always fucking chop it up about old fight stories. And he goes, dude, this should be a podcast. Yeah. So we start recording episodes and we start reaching out to people. And, we got season 1, we had Kent Shamrock, former UFC champion.
Which is so bizarre when you watch these guys fighting in the octagon, and next thing you know, he's sitting in your buddy's kitchen table in Oshawa, Ontario. You're sitting there like, what the hell is this?
Right. You're asking him fucking questions, and then we have a boxer, former middleweight champion, 5-time middleweight champion, Vinny Paz. We went to Rhode Island and got an interview with Vinny Paz. So we've been going all over the Northeast and, of course, Ontario to get these fight stories. We love hearing fucking guys, professional fighters, NHL guys. We love NHL guys, but we also like hearing just regular old fucking fight stories from like everyday guys, sitting around and drinking at the bar. But I see a couple of you guys getting excited about it. Like, maybe we could do an episode. Yes, you can.
There's a lot of very thick beards in the crowd tonight.
So, but tonight is not an average Joe at all. We are very excited to be here, and you guys probably have seen all of these fucking fights on YouTube 1,000 times, but here we are. We're excited about it. So I think we should just introduce the guest.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone here knows him.
Yeah.
Hometown hero, 310 games, 702 penalty minutes. 20 fucking points, ladies and gentlemen. And make some noise.
And the guy that fucked your high school girlfriend. I'm just kidding.
Mr. Ryan Vandenbussche. Oh, yeah. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
So right away from Instagram, first of all, we interviewed the real life Doug the Thug from the movie Goon, the guy who coached Orr a little bit, and he goes, "You fucking gotta give it to Ryan for a fucking guy that was not a heavyweight. As far as your demeanor, he sure fucking fought the super heavyweights." And it's fucking true, man.
Well, the way I looked at it, I couldn't lose because I was smaller than these guys, and if I lost, I was supposed to lose, right?
Right.
If I won, then I'm a hero, and if I tied, well, I still look good because I was usually smaller than these guys.
Yeah, it's no losing, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so you come into the era, and it's basically the super heavyweight era where you come into the league, and you're 5'10". What were you weighing when you came into the NHL? Like, what's
Okay, I was 5'11" and 3/4.
5'11", 3/4. Yeah, sorry, we don't need to take any.
Are you measuring on skates?
I could get 6 foot.
And these guys are monsters at the time, and you really, really found a way to like equalize it and win. Like it's amazing that what we were watching some of the fights earlier, and the way that you would pull guys in closer to you, and they would seem that they're your size, but they're really a lot taller. You just kind of like had them dragged down, which is like, important, obviously, to like bridging that gap, I think, between the reaches. And
The game changed. Earlier in my career, we didn't have to wear a tie down. Mm-hmm. So Rob Ray changed that rule because he was constantly getting out of his jersey, and then his hands were free, and nobody can bring him in close, right? So prior to that, it was easy because I would never wear a tie down, and when I was fighting a guy bigger than me, I could drop out because they're usually grabbing on your jersey, and you can drop out and slip out of your equipment, and then they had nothing to hold on to. So that was an advantage. But then they had a tie down rule, so if you had to wear a tie down, and if it came off, you had an extra penalty. So
Did you find like when you were in the league, like everyone was doing all these little tricks to like kind of get out of their jersey, or they just had like the jersey doctoring? Like, were you conscious of who was doing what?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was one of those guys that I'd like to have a loose jersey. I would stretch it out. I'd wear a goalie cut.
Like McSorley.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had my elbows were nice and loose, so if somebody grabbed onto my jersey there, I was easily to get out of my jersey and get my arm loose.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you see guys like everyone had their own thing, especially at that time. I mean, I don't know if Dave Brown was still playing when you came in. He might have been on the tail end.
Yeah,
but Dave Brown was notorious for like a really tight sleeve, so you couldn't grab it. But then the loose sleeve was like the McSorley thing. So everyone kind of had one. Basil McRae, John Cordick, those dudes, they had like the Velcro. So it like just come apart when you grab it. Like it got really, really slippery around the league, especially at that time, to the point where they did have to implement that rule, and it changed fighting, right?
And then I had Velcro on my shoulder. Some people had shoulder pads that were very tight that didn't break away. I had shoulder pads that if you grabbed onto my shoulder pads and you pulled, it would rip apart because it was Velcro. Mm-hmm. So they couldn't contain me.
Yeah,
right?
You had nothing to hold on to, and like that's such a like important thing. Like if you look at any fighter from like I guess like. Maybe 2000 on, like even before that, getting the shoulder pads, like the number one first thing you want is to get that hold. I would think a lot of the guys anyway, and to have that like come away, that really
It all depends who you're fighting too. If I was fighting a guy like Stu Grimson, I'd want to grab him behind his neck and grab his jersey. If it was the day where you
reach.
Well, yeah, exactly. I had to get in close to him, right? So if he kept me out, he had a longer reach, and he would definitely get the better of me.
You're probably at a disadvantage for reach for fucking most of these guys.
Yeah.
Because they got 4 inches on you.
Yeah, so I had to get in tight for sure.
Oh, that's so interesting. I think like super relevant to like anyone that's
Fighting was so important in the league then that they had to micromanage things like a fucking tie down.
Right.
Like
it got so specific.
Yeah.
It became this.
It evolved so quickly.
With a designated role, you can focus in on all those things. You know what I mean? Like that's. I think that's.
It was constant visualization for me. I always you're going into the play of the Edmonton Oilers, and George LaRocque's on a team, and you think, oh fuck, if I'm on the ice against him, I'm probably going to fight him. So how am I going to deal with this guy?
And LaRocque is fucking huge, right? Like, I mean, that's one of the scariest dudes.
And he was a lefty, so I'm a lefty. He's a lefty. He grabs with his right. I grab with my right. His reach is longer than me.
Right.
And
it doesn't work out very well for me.
as a lefty, that's usually your advantage. You know what I mean? Like
Usually.
a lot of guys have trouble
Yeah.
facing the southpaw, especially like it's like in baseball. If
Yeah.
you're facing the left-handed hitter, he's
Yeah.
going to throw you off.
He was
Or the
telling us
left-handed pitcher.
before, like earlier in the afternoon, what LaRock said to you at the end of the fight, which was so fucking classic, about fucking nailing your nose. It's like, hey man, you might want to fucking check that out.
I think you got a concussion. I'm like, tell me I got a fucking concussion.
Thanks, Dr.
I
George.
didn't have one. But yeah,
What a gentleman, though, right?
Yeah.
Like after
And
it's
your
all
nose
said
is-
and done, like he's a little concerned
he
about you.
did
You
hit
know?
me good, and he broke my nose.
And
But
your
if he
nose
didn't
is
break my
definitely
I probably
broken.
would have had a concussion, but he broke my nose, and I didn't have a concussion. But
Yeah, the nose
he
took-
seemed to think I did. But it's all good. Yeah.
Well,
So,
that's crazy. And so, like, when you're going into a game, let's say George LaRock is on the roster. Do you know you're going him, or is there? There's a couple other guys maybe at that time. Like,
no, it was George. Like
Yeah.
when he came into Chicago, or I was in Edmonton, he always kind of, like me personally, I always, those afternoon naps were a little tougher. Because you knew that if the game got out of hand, you're probably going to be doing battle with him.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, he was in Chicago, and I think they got up a couple goals, and I'm like, fuck, I just want to keep it close, right?
Yeah,
Keep the game close. So, but they got up a few goals, and we were up a couple goals, and then he lined up beside me, and he wanted to go.
on most of your teams, are you the designated like heavy, or is there like a couple guys, or like that you're sharing the workload? I'm sure there's a few where you have your own, you're like the main guy, but then sometimes you got like guys riding shotgun with you too. When you're riding shotgun with a guy though, are you still trying to gun for the top heavies? Like you want to take them? Like that's...
Well, I was fortunate. Whenever I played on a team, there was usually guys. There's more than one tough guy on the team, and you just don't know how the game's going to go, right? So
whoever you line up against is whoever you fucking line up against.
Exactly.
Right? And if they give you the tap, then
yeah, that's right. You just got to answer the bell. So, but a lot of guys, when I was playing with Bob Probert, a lot of guys wanted to go Bob Probert because he's a measuring stick, right?
Yeah. Bob Probert's the greatest enforcer of all time.
Was he
right.
like, listen, fight the kid?
That's right. Yeah, and they would rather go after a guy like Bob Probert
Of
and
course.
lose than they go after a guy like me and lose, because
Yeah.
Right.
It changes the dynamic.
That's
You're
right.
supposed to lose against fucking Probert. You lose against you. It might
Then
be
they
your
look
last
bad.
fucking game.
That's right. Exactly.
It's such an
There was no
interesting-
pressure. I didn't put any pressure on myself. I went out there and did my best. If I lost, I showed up at least. If I won or tied against guys that are bigger than me, well, I looked like a hero.
Right.
That's the way I looked at it.
How sweet is it though when you get a front row ticket to every Bob Probert fight?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was amazing how many guys went after him, and then they just bypassed me and wanted to go right after him.
Right.
But, why wouldn't you? You're a rookie in the league. You want to go after the best, right?
Right.
So,
Right. Make a name.
yeah, for sure.
So before all this shit happens, you're a young kid. You start fighting in and around town. How does this even start to evolve for you? Like where you think, oh, maybe I can actually make a living fighting.
Oh, I had no idea I could do that. I never grew up. I grew up in Delhi here, and
What's the town over? You guys didn't show up to the high school and be like, all right, boys.
Yeah,
See you
no.
at 3:30.
No, it was just I played junior B when I was probably 16. I was 16, and I never even thought it was the NHL. I never thought it was in the reach. I loved the game of hockey.
Right.
And I went out there and I played hard, and I skated hard, I forechecked hard, and I finished my checks. And when you're 16 years old and you're playing against guys that are up to 21 years of age, and you finish a check on them, they're going to come after you.
Right.
And I just never backed down, and I kind of started honing in on my skills when I was probably about 16 years of age. And then I got drafted by the Cornwall Royals in the 14th round, and my dad says, hey, you're a 14th round draft pick. You're going to get cut up the second day if you don't do anything, and you don't get noticed. So go out there and do something and get noticed in a positive way.
Yeah.
Right? So,
In a positive way.
Yeah.
so I went out there and I knocked out 0-0 and a nice clean check, and then they sent their team tough guy after me, and And I did fairly well against him. And Mark Crawford was the coach at the time, and that's how I got
Holy
my foot
fuck.
in the door.
That's
Yeah.
fucking awesome. Owen Nolan was a thick dude. To knock him out with a body check is impressive as hell.
He was drafted by the Quebec Nordiques back then. I think it was 91.
Yeah.
And he was a first overall draft pick. So he came to Cornwall, his former team, just to kind of get warmed up before his Quebec camp. And so I caught him with his head down coming across the blue line and then hit him with a good shot.
He's a big boy. Oh, that would have been thunderous.
Yeah.
Him hitting the ice would have been
Yeah.
made it sound.
Yeah. He's a good player overall. He could do it all. He could score goals. He could fight. He could do everything. Yeah.
Do you remember the guy they sent after you in that fight?
Yeah. Marcus Middleton.
Yeah, Marcus Middleton.
Yeah, he was about 6'4". He was a big boy.
Oh, fuck.
And then I got my teeth knocked out. I got a butt end right to the mouth and knocked out my two.
He butt-ended you with a stick?
No, there was another kid that butt ended me in the mouth. And
Oh, they're all gunning for you after that.
Yeah.
Because he was like a star probably, I would imagine, right?
First
So-
overall draft pick.
Yeah. So like,
Yeah. And I
you
was
take out their first round draft pick.
So you're 16. I mean, you're going up against guys who are 21 who are starting to fill out. You're giving a lot in weight. And that fighting style kind of fucking follows you, up into the league and serves you well throughout your career. You're always fighting guys who are fucking bigger than you, right?
Yeah, pretty
Was
much.
that so when you were 16, you started to have to figure this out?
Yeah, it just came. I had no. I wasn't going there to say I'm going to be a fucking tough guy in the NHL and
Right.
kick everyone's ass. I never thought about that at all. I just loved the game of hockey, and I went out and played my game. And I forechecked hard, I backchecked hard, and I finished my checks. And when you finish your checks, you get people that don't like that, and they go after you. And I just never backed down. So that's kind of how I got started.
So when did you realize you were good at it, though? Like the fighting part?
It was probably training camp in junior A. I was 17 years of age. Yeah.
And I think like a lot of people don't realize how many fights actually happen in training camp. Like it's just can be the Wild West of like how many times are you scrapping in a camp?
Well, you can get in 3 scraps and then you're done. Right?
They toss you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're allowed 3 fights per game.
Yeah, exactly.
Per scrimmage, starting at 10 a.m.
Yeah. That happened a few times.
Yeah. So what's the most fights you were in a day?
3. Yeah.
3. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't have like another game. Where
All right, boys, eat lunch. Meet you back at the ice in an hour.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you would remember this, but what's like the hardest trilogy of like 3 fights that you had in a row?
Terrence Sandwith, Craig, Chris McAllister,
Oh, he's a
and
big
Ty
boy.
Domi.
Ty Domi.
All in one game.
Holy
That
shit.
was exhibition in Chicago. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, those are the 3 guys I battled.
That's insane. And like McAllister, if you like McAllister is not like as well known, but he was huge.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Like
yeah.
he is huge. I remember when the Leafs brought him in, I was like, oh yeah, because I'm a
Yeah.
Leaf fan. And I'm like, this guy's gonna fuck some people up, and he did like a little bit, but he like
did.
I mean, he never really materialized into the type of scrapper that I think that like everyone projected him to be
Yeah.
based on his size. But god damn it, he was dangerous.
Yeah,
Like,
one time he was the biggest boy in hockey.
Yeah.
NHL, NAHL, yeah.
So
he
to
was a big boy.
scrap him and then Domi, who's the complete opposite type of fight. Like
Right.
So like you're having to adjust your style 3 times in one game.
Yeah.
Like that's intense.
Well, with Ty, I asked him if he wanted, I had already had 2 fights, so then the coach put me out. Lauren Mulliken was the coach at the time, and he put me out there with Ty Domi. There's 3 minutes left to go in the game, and there was Ty Domi on left wing, and I'm a right winger, and he says, Bush, you get out there. I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to yeah, I'm not out there to score goals, right? Yeah. And it's exhibition.
Yeah.
So I asked him to go, and he says, no, not right now. And then the puck drops, and then he kind of grabs me. We go at it, and I get it.
Even that little fucking mental advantage. No, not right now.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah,
my
and then it's
turn,
like, boom.
motherfucker.
He grabs me, and we start going at it.
Greasy.
I got out of my jersey because I knew it was my 3rd fight, so I didn't have my tie down now. And so I didn't give a shit if I was getting kicked out or not because it doesn't matter.
Oh,
'cause I was getting
smart.
kicked out anyways.
You're playing the game too.
So,
That's right, that's
so
right.
I got out of my jersey, and then he says, "Not fair. You got out of your jersey." And I said, "Not fair. You wear 2 helmets."
That's great.
Yeah.
Domi, we talked to a couple different people, and like Domi was always very guarded about who and when he was going to fight. Like a planner. You
It's
know what I mean?
business,
It's
yeah.
business, right?
Yeah.
Right. Every advantage.
But I think that's so cool. And so that's like a little bit later in your career when you fight. But you're coming. So now so when you were coming up though, like it's so you're doing the training camp with that was in Cornwall where you knocked out Nolan, and so you get into junior. Next thing you know, how many scraps are you getting in junior, like in a season?
My last year of junior, so I was playing for the Cornwall Royals my first 2 years, and then that organization moved to the Newmarket Royals. So I was there in Newmarket for half a year, then I was traded to the Guelph Storm. So that year I was in 46 majors, so 46 fights and about 64 games. Yeah,
there wasn't even 46 fights in the NHL last year. Just so you know.
Someone gave me that stat, and I had about 12 minor penalties, so 2-minute penalties.
Right, and that's because when somebody didn't answer the call, they're like, "No, we're good."
It was but 46 majors was
46 majors. How many weeks is a season? Fucking 30. You're going.
Well, there's 66 games in junior, so
yeah, that's wild. And then
I think I played 62 or 63 that year.
And who are some of the guys in junior that you're running into? Because it's always interesting to me, like who you kind of started out with, and like your junior crop that you end up like seeing in the NHL. Like who materialized that you were like running into since you were like 16? Like who are these guys? I mean, Owen Nolan obviously is a name, but like.
Yeah, Kenny Belanger. I don't know if you.
Ken Belanger.
He's a big boy. He's
Boston.
my teammate. Yeah, and then Ruben Dura, Dark Rum we used to call him. Good guy. And Dennis Bonvie was a guy that I fought probably from the time that I was 16 years of age. Wow. 17 actually. My rookie year in Cornwall, and then right till my last year of pro in Pittsburgh, I fought him in an exhibition right before, during training camp.
And Bonvie, if you guys aren't familiar with Dennis Bonvie, he actually, he finished his career with the highest penalty minute totals ever in the AHL. This is it's insane.
Which is a league for fighting and fucking penalties.
Yeah, he played in the AHL, but he played a lot of his career in the AHL, right?
Hats off to him because he was a fucking warrior. That guy battled out in the minors for a very long time. And if I was battling that long in the minors, I would have been done a long time ago. The only thing that saved my career was that I made it to the NHL, and I didn't play every game. And when I did play, I only played 5 to 7 minutes. So it was, it saved me.
You're in the AHL fucking fighting night in and night out. There's got to be easier ways to make a goddamn living, right? I mean, you're not.
Well, I just love the game. And I love being there. So.
But you got a taste of the NHL and, in that bump in pay.
That's right.
There's guys going out there fucking cranking guys in the head for 10 years straight for 50 fucking grand.
That's right.
CTEs
so you can make 50 or you can make 500.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to get motivated for fucking $500,000.
Absolutely.
So you run into Bonvie at like 17 years old, and then this guy now is like a lifelong opponent. Like he is basically.
He was a lifelong opponent. Absolutely. 100%.
Was he a nemesis though? Like when you see him and you were like, all right, motherfucker.
Nemesis in my career because, I get hats off to him because he's a tough fucker. And, whenever we played against him, he was just one of those guys that loved skating over the red line. And, why you skate over the red line?
Just to send them, just to fuck with you, right? Like in the warm-ups?
In
the
warm-ups. Over the red line.
Yeah.
So I got a time where he's skating over the red line, then I have to clip his leg, It was
the gamesmanship.
Yeah.
Shazma, can you cue up the Dennis Bonvie fight? We got to watch it on the big screen, right? Come on, eh? From the AHL, this is the legendary.
They had a big-time fight last game. Dennis felt very comfortable. He got the decision, and here we go. Vandenbussche and Bonvie. It didn't take 2 seconds. Dennis has the fists up right in front of the nose. Vandenbussche very calm, fighting at home. Out near center ice. Vandenbussche gets in there. Dennis throws a hard right. Vandenbussche slips under it. Dennis is throwing a lot of punches, doing a good job. Ryan is trying to get himself settled. Bonvie seems to be landing a lot of punches. Dennis is doing terrific. Very calm. Vandenbussche is throwing hard. Dennis seems to have cut Vandenbussche badly. Maybe I'm mistaken. Bonvie and Vandenbussche getting in there. Vandenbussche trying to get inside. They're both getting tired. Now Ryan Vandenbussche bull rushes Dennis Bonvie into the boards. Dennis is still holding him off. Vandenbussche continues to want to throw. Dennis slips his hands, gets a right. Vandenbussche seems to have the forehead cut. Dennis throws a hard right. Vandenbussche comes back. Dennis slips another punch in. Now they both have a hand free, and Vandenbussche lands a big punch on Dennis. Dennis looks like he wants to hang on now. Vandenbussche still wants to throw. Two big middleweights who play the role of heavyweights. Vandenbussche waves off the linesman, throws another left. Now he's going to rip Dennis's helmet off. They are wrestled up against the boards. Vandenbussche tells the linesman, get the heck out of my kitchen. So Dennis is now just hanging on for dear life. Vandenbussche throws another left. They are wrestling. Now Dennis throws a left. Vandenbussche comes back. They're still going. Vandenbussche tells the linesman no. Great strength test. Bonvie throwing lefts. Clips Vandenbussche. Now Bushy comes up with an uppercut and gets Dennis. Another left by Vandenbussche. That landed on Dennis's nose. Dennis looks flustered. Now they continue to fight. Ladies and gentlemen, the longest fight we've had in Wachovia Arena history. Bonvie and Vandenbussche going toe-to-toe. Dennis's nose is cut open. Bushy lands a bomb to the forehead. And Bushy lands another one. They are going toe-to-toe. How do you go? They're just throwing. Oh, and Vandenbussche lands a bell ringer right to the face of Dennis Bonvie. Ryan Vandenbussche lights the
I can't
lamp.
even fuck
Dennis
this long.
is known for what a hockey fight. We will take a break. Bonvie might need some repairs.
Yeah!
What a fight!
Ryan fucking Vandenbussche. What a scrap, eh?
That was Paul, I think.
Great announcer, by the way.
He was calling it like a fucking boxing match.
He was a homer until he realized how good this fight was. He's talking about Dennis Bonvie. He's calling him Dennis, like he's on a first name basis, like they play tennis together and shit. Next thing you know, it's fucking,
He played there prior, so
who was that?
Dennis, yeah. So
Oh, yeah, Dennis,
yeah. He was in Wilkes-Barre prior to me being there. So he had a bit of reputation.
What a fight. So you get into a fight like that, and it's like, that was the AHL equivalent of what I would consider the best NHL fight of all time, Probert versus McSorley. That's the AHL equivalent of like that long of a marathon fight. And you get into that, and you're going to be gassed after that. Like you probably, did you play after that fight?
I did.
Holy shit.
Yeah, barely. But there was a fight that I had in junior that was actually longer than that. And after it was against Tom Sullivan. It was my second year.
Oh yeah,
junior.
that is on YouTube, I think. If you can find it, pull it up, Shaz. We don't want to keep throwing too many clips, but this one is the fight.
And after that fight, I could not lift the water bottle to my mouth afterwards. I couldn't get it to my mouth.
That's hard. Yeah,
it's crazy.
The Bonvie fight, you guys are going. Is there anything you're waving off the linesman there?
How old are you guys there?
With Bonvie, that was at the end of my career. That was
Okay.
Too old.
Right. So this is this is the culmination of fucking you guys fighting for 10 years.
Yeah.
You're Danny Glover and
17 to
I'm too old for this shit.
And then the following year, we were in training camp in Pittsburgh, and he signed with Pittsburgh. So I'm fighting him on a Sunday morning at 9:00 in the morning.
Just because you're like, fucking here we go.
Jesus Christ.
Are there any of these?
Sullivan. Yeah.
Is there any?
I have seen this fight.
Is there any of these guys that you're squaring up in junior, and they're just guys who fucking fill out late? Next thing you know, you're fighting them 5 years later, and they're just a fucking different animal altogether. Like they gain 2 inches and 60 pounds, and it's like, Jesus
Well, when you're in junior, 17, 18, pretty much, no, not really. You pretty much knew who you're.
Really?
Yeah.
Everyone's all pretty thick at that point.
Yeah.
That's gonna stick.
Is that just maybe that's just the way it is with fucking professional athletes?
Yeah.
All right, fire up the Sullivan. I'll move out of the way.
Oh, I know. Sorry, boys. You have to use your imaginations.
Left and a right, left and right.
And you're in the white jersey, right?
Yeah.
You're the commentator.
Well, at this point in time,
How are you feeling right now?
But you'll see coming up here, he's going to hit me with a few, but I'm resting. I'm actually cushioning his blows. Not right now, but right here. I'm throwing my head back. just to catch my breath.
The one comment during the other fight is when he goes, Vandenbussche is settling in, and you're getting popped. Like, what a way to fucking settle in.
Yeah. Gives me a headache watching this shit.
No wonder you smoke weed. Jesus Christ.
That's right.
Yeah, that was what they call a slobber knocker. Just pounded. And you got the jersey off in that one too.
Yeah.
That
That's when you can get out of the
felt
jersey.
good, right? Like, yeah.
Until Rob Ray ruined it for everybody.
Thanks a lot, Rob.
Did you send him a message? Rob, you fucking prick.
I think he probably got a few. Did you ever fight Rob Ray?
No.
No, really?
No.
You never fought Probert either. He fought a lot of guys. He fought Rob Ray is fucking tough as shit.
Yeah.
He fought almost everyone, but he never fought
No.
Probert.
Yeah.
He
Never played against Proby in regular season, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting how that worked out schedule wise because
Yeah.
they really were.
Well, he was in the other division too. I was in the East and he was in the West. So
Yeah. Oh man, he has. If you actually go and watch some Rob Ray scraps, like he has some like most. He has almost maybe the highest knockout level. I mean, Koser had maybe the hardest punch, but
Right.
Ray I think might have the most knockouts actually.
Yeah, he had a heavy right.
Enforcer.
For sure.
Fucking heavy-handed guy. He's underrated.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the video versions of these episodes. We love bringing you the video. Hopefully we can keep doing more. You want to keep the video coming though, you know what to do. There's a few things you can help us out with. Hit subscribe below, that's very easy. Also, make sure you keep supporting our sponsors. Absolute Nature CBD, AbsoluteNatureCBD.com. Head over there, use the promo code Goon Squad. They're going to set you guys up with 20% off of everything. All of their 100% natural CBD oil products at AbsoluteNatureCBD.com. CBD oil, it's the thing everyone's talking about. All these guests that are coming on, we're talking to them about this, and they're saying they're using it to help with old sports injuries. You know, anyone that listens to this, you probably used to bang, probably used to play some, hardcore sports, get a little bit rough back in the day. That's what the glory days are all about, bragging about our injuries. But there's a way that you can help yourself, and it's by using products like this. It's going to improve your life, and it's going to enhance the quality of your family's lives. So get into it, AbsoluteNatureCBD.com. These guys are amazing.
Who is your favorite guy to watch?
Clarky. I love watching
Wendell?
Clark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wendell was my hero.
Did you get to play with him in Chicago?
I did.
Oh
yeah.
wow, that must have been exciting,
Yeah,
right?
it was great. They sent me down to Cleveland, and I had no idea why. And they said we need to make room on the roster. And then 2 weeks later, they bought Wendell out, and they brought me back up. So it's unfortunate because I was looking forward to playing with Wendell. But but I was okay with
That's
that.
fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
You're still a fan, even though you're in the
he's
league and
awesome.
everything, you know?
Yeah. Great guy.
And were you a Leaf fan growing up?
I was.
So Wendell Clark's, obviously
awesome,
we're Leaf fans too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he was, my favorite
Of the same age.
player. Yeah.
Well, I was drafted by Toronto in '92.
Right.
Yeah, I got to go to training camp with them and experience training camp back then in '92, '93, '94. So
During the glory years of Clark
that's right.
too. Oh,
Yeah.
that's exciting to be around that culture in Toronto and the
Speaking
team
of growing up as a fucking kid,
Oh, that's so cool.
Leafs
it was
Nation.
neat.
Amazing.
Sure. Yeah.
That's great. So you go when you get drafted by the Leafs, like obviously that's like a dream come true as a kid. Coming from a small town in Ontario and you're a Leaf fan, you get drafted by your team.
I'll never forget because that draft year back in the summer of '92, the scout back then, Danny Marr, came down to Delhi to interview me. And we went to Durano's, which is now the little Belgium in Delhi. And I'll never
"We gotta get
forget.
you out of
My
here,
dad
kid."
told me to wear cowboy boots so I can get like another inch of my height.
Your dad's advice is always the best.
So we're getting. I'm sitting there talking with him, and he says at the end of the interview, he says, "Well, you know what? If you're around the 7th, 8th round, Toronto's going to draft you." And so I went to the draft that year, and sure as shit.
How old are
I
you
got
when you're
picked
having
up.
this conversation with them?
17.
Oh,
And
that's
a
exciting.
year ago, you don't even think this is a fucking possibility. You're just
Exactly.
going into corners, finishing checks,
That's right.
playing hard.
Yeah.
What a fucking dream.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden, I'm sitting at Durano's in Delhi here having an interview with a
In a
scout
pair
from
of
Toronto
cowboy
Maple
boots.
Leafs.
So funny, man.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And so you go into camp then with the Leafs, right?
Yeah.
And who you scrap in camp?
Uh,
Or are you scrapping? You just,
yeah. You know, you go to training camp and, goal score goals and
Yeah.
scrap
Yeah.
or scrap. And I fought a guy by the name of Mark Rader. He was a 4th-round draft pick that year, and he was a big boy. And he hit me with a good one. I had plastic straps around my helmet, and he hit me there, and he cut me for about 6 stitches around my ear.
was it a Winwell?
It might have been a Winwell. Yeah, and then
Winwell.
the trainer was like, Ryan, you need leather straps. So he gave me leather straps, and from then on, I wore leather straps. I never had that problem again.
You got a couple of old ones in the pro shop.
Yeah.
So you never ended up playing on the Leafs in the NHL. But
No.
you went to training camp. Where do you go from there? What's the next step? Where do they send you up? St. John's, is that
Yeah, so I was in
the
St.
baby
John's,
Leafs?
Newfoundland for 2 years. Yeah, 93, 94, 94, 95. And then I signed with the Rangers the following year. So my 3rd year pro was with the Rangers, and it was my 4th year pro with the Rangers where I got my opportunity to play with the Rangers. It was in Buffalo, actually.
Oh, cool.
And I'll never forget that because I was the day of the game. I walked down for breakfast, and there's Gretzky sitting there, and
Unbelievable.
he gave me one of these, and I sat down and had breakfast with Wayne Gretzky before my first game. And
Fucking
then,
drafted by the Leafs, breakfast with Gretzky.
Yeah.
I mean, those 2 moments right there are
man.
Yeah.
enough.
And then I'll never forget sitting on a bench. And that was like, I think Gretzky broke in the league around 78, 79 or 79, 80. And so I grew up watching him, right? And then now I'm sitting on this bench in Buffalo, and I look to my left, and there's Mark Messier, and my right is and Wayne Gretzky. And I'm like, whoa, I'm in the middle here. And I'm playing with these guys. It was crazy. So it was a really neat experience.
that's so
It was
surreal.
surreal. It was, yeah.
I bet. I was at a comedy show once, and fucking Chris Rock was on the left of me, and Dave Chappelle was on the right of me, and that was the fucking coolest moment for me.
Let me tell you right now, I'm in Delhi. I got John Moses on my left and Ryan Vandenbussche on my right.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay, all right?
So funny.
Oh, that's
it's
awesome,
good.
though. Wow, what an experience. So, like, you really did have some like amazing like milestones as for an enforcer too, to have that type of career. You played with, you were drafted by an original 6. You played with 2 original 6 teams, and then Pittsburgh. Like those are all like really diehard fan bases. Some guys get buried in
Fucking
Florida
Florida.
and all that shit, like in Arizona. Like that's not an easy. I mean, it's a different life, right? But like you were actually in like exciting hockey markets, so that was like, that's awesome. I mean, obviously there's the minors, and you play in different areas, but like in
What
the
was
NHL,
it like playing in Newfoundland? Were they, you're out at the bar fucking drinking after games? How were they as like a fan base? Were they fucking pumped up? Was anybody ever be like, I'll fucking take it, bud?
Yeah, no, it was a great experience in St. John's, Newfoundland. And you're a rookie too, right? So it's your first year pro, and I'll never forget I was making $35,000 Canadian, and coming from playing major junior A, making $35 every 2 weeks. Now I'm turned pro when I'm 20, playing in St. John's, Newfoundland, making $35,000 Canadian. I thought I won the fucking jackpot.
it was the early '90s. That's a lot more back then, baby.
I couldn't believe the veterans on a team were getting pissed off when they weren't getting their paycheck on time. And I'm like, fuck, what's the big fucking deal? Then after my first year of pro, and after all the scraps I got, I'm like, fuck, you know what? I earned that $35,000 fucking dollars. I need to get a little more money on that.
Right.
But yeah, it was a grind.
So in that league, who's the guy that you like? Did you have anyone on the team that you were running with that was a scrapper, or was it just mainly you holding that holding that down?
When I was. We always had tons of tough guys on our team. Like
Such a great
I was
era.
in the Atlantic Division, so we had. I played with a guy by the name of Frank the Animal Bialowas.
There we go.
And this guy was a fucking animal. He actually taught me how to play chess too. I was roommates with him. But this guy.
You learned it in jail.
If you guys If you guys have seen the movie Goon that we referenced with Doug the Thug, the guy, the tough guy that Doug the Thug fights in that movie is based on Frank the Animal Bialowas. So
Yeah,
right.
He is the top gunslinger in the AHL that everyone knew not to fuck with. Right?
He was from Winnipeg, and then he was a male stripper and a cab driver in Winnipeg.
Wow, he was fucking playing in the AHL?
And he happened to play hockey. So
A real jack of all trades.
and then he was so tough, he got a gig in the East Coast Hockey League, and he was kicking the shit out of everybody. He wasn't the best skater at the time.
Yeah.
But he was just kicking the shit out of everybody in the East Coast Hockey League. And then he gets his shot in the AHL. And I'll never forget after I finished my last year junior, I get called to play with the St. John's Maple Leafs, and I walk in the dressing room, and I see this fucking guy. He's got long hair halfway down his back. He's full of muscles. I'm like, holy fuck, this guy's an animal. And then I'm roommates with him 2 years later, and what he liked me to do was punch him in the face before every game. With my glove on. That was a ritual. So before I went on the ice, I had to give him 2 shots in the face with my glove on. He'd get pissed off on me if I didn't punch him hard enough. It was crazy. Yeah. He was an animal. Then he ended up playing for the Philadelphia Flyers farm team.
The Phantoms.
The Phantoms. And when he was there, they loved him. So as far as jersey sales goes, it was John LeClaire, Frank the Animal Bialowas, and Eric Lindros.
Frank the fucking Animal Bialowas.
Yeah.
On the Phantoms, match those fucking
That's
guys.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Jersey sales.
Yeah,
I need to get me a fucking
He
jersey.
was second.
Oh, yeah.
Lindros was behind him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
You know who'd like to hear that? Paul Stewart.
Yeah.
Lindros.
Oh yeah, that's fucking awesome.
I gotta hear the stripper stories. I mean, not that you know, but
Yeah.
that's bananas. I mean, there really are some guys that were in the fucking AHL who are like, these were just fucking tough guys.
You get a cup of coffee in the show. He played in the preseason. I don't know if he played any. Did he play regular season?
He played 2 regular
scrapped
season
Domi?
games, and he scrapped Domi and Tony Twist.
Tony Twist.
Yeah, so he played for Toronto, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was roommates
But
with
I
him.
mean, like, these are guys who probably fucking don't skate at all, you know?
Well, they would push him on the ice.
He didn't have a chair or a stool.
He didn't want to get hooked up with them in a corner.
Oh,
He was just an animal.
It's crazy though. There's a guy though who really didn't didn't play in the AHL for any length of time, but he actually is maybe one of the toughest guys ever to play. Absolutely, he is one of the toughest guys to ever play hockey.
Yeah.
And he could have been an NHL stalwart enforcer. I think it was just
if his family loved him.
the Leafs were very deep with toughness. I think when he was probably playing there.
Yeah,
And
that's right. And that's when the league was changing too, because you couldn't just be a tough guy on the ice. You had to be able to play the game and not be a liability on the ice.
Right.
You know, the rule for a third, fourth liner is get on that ice and give those first 2 lines a break, a rest.
Yeah.
And don't be a liability and get off the ice and get them back on the ice.
It got a little bit tougher, yeah.
Yeah,
And then they started punishing tough guys if they get a penalty, and
That's right.
everything got special teams oriented, and
Right.
So if you're the guy that's fucking that up, then you're in trouble, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, how much did that play a role in your comfort level as a player? You know what I mean? How you must have been a little bit cautious about what you did out there, just because of the way that enforcers do get treated. When that's your established role, if you fuck up, do you have a coach that's a dick at any time that's like?
Yeah, I mean, you just don't fuck up. I was a 4th, 5th liner, and when I got on the ice, I was averaging probably 4 or 5 minutes a game. So when you get on the ice, you just don't make a mistake, and don't make a mistake.
It's another one people were saying.
Don't piss on the rug.
Your 2-goal game,
Right.
when those guys are trying to get to the hat trick, how fucking flat out exhausted are you? Just because you're not used to playing the minutes.
That's right. Yeah, you just go out there and give the guys a rest and don't be a liability on the ice.
Right.
And if you can, if you can get the team turn around, if you're losing, you're down by a few goals, and then you want to change the momentum of the game, you just go out there and you finish your checks, and if need be, you drop the gloves. And
I mean, it's a momentum thing for sure, but also it's like when you're getting the fucking break speed off you, and you're in the stands, and you're paying. This is your big night out. I've been to maybe 10 fucking Leaf games throughout my entire childhood, it was always a big deal. So if you're, as a fan, if you're watching them get fucking smoked, the fight's the only thing that you're, you know what I mean? That's the sweet spot of the night for you. So it's not just a momentum thing. I mean, the fans fucking love it,
Yeah, no, exactly. There's nobody sitting down when there's a fight going on.
Right. I mean, you know what? If you lose fucking 5-2, the biggest fucking moment of the game is the fucking fight,
Absolutely. Fuck.
For a fan.
I guess I got. There's one thing we wanted to bring up. You had one fight that we were talking about earlier. The Kyle Friedrich fight. Let's go through that one. That was a big one. That was a lot of guys were at. When we asked hockeyfights.com, do you have any questions? The guys on there let's talk about that one. They walk us through that one. He's a big guy, and that's a big size mismatch, right?
He was 6'7", 265.
Holy shit!
And the night before that, he was a young guy coming up, making his name. And a guy called me that I used to play with. His name was Nathan Parrott, and
he played with the Leafs, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So he says, Bushy, you're gonna be playing against Kyle Friedrich. He's gonna be hungry, make a name. So I kind of knew. I got a little bit of a lowdown on him, and my first shift was about 5 minutes into the game, and I lined up against him, and I knew I was gonna probably go on him. So right away we went after it, and we scrapped, and I got second star that.
Yeah. Can we pull that one up, please?
Yeah, so that fight, they gave me second star for playing about 8 seconds of the game.
Yeah. How often does that happen? Never. It's a good long one too. I got time to get a beer.
I think it's the.
You can even have a smoke if you want.
I love your cousin, man. Go back, because it was like the fourth one down.
Kyle
Yeah, there you go. Fifth one.
That's the one.
Fried Chicken's hockey fight
Vandenbussche
site.
against Kyle Friedrich in a nasty tilt.
That was a tooth that
Way
just fell
away
out
on
there.
each other.
Oh, that was his tooth?
A couple of heavyweights going at it. Full tilt. No time limit. No standing 8 count. Up along the board. Set the tone. Anyway, hockey action, play action.
Oh, yeah. What's the height difference there?
He's 6'7". I'm
6'7".
5'11".
against 5'11".
We both went to the hospital afterwards.
Oh, you did, huh?
Yeah, he got me to go in there.
Boy, you want to talk about a testosterone rush. Fans and players.
Is that what you were feeling at that moment?
So you guys both go to the hospital. You're both in the hospital. What's it like seeing that guy when you're in there?
Well, my skates were off after the game, and his skates were on, and he was coming out of the X-ray room, and my wife was actually beside me, and we were both looking up at him as he walked. It was scary. But he had 2 of his teeth knocked out, a broken nose, and a cut over his eye, and I had a big gash over my hand, and I cut over my eye. So, yeah, it was nasty.
Yeah. And just a gentleman's good go?
Yeah.
That's the best, eh? These guys, they go at it like toe-to-toe, night in, night out, and it's almost always business. And that's the best part, when you can leave it on the ice and everyone's respectful. Is there anyone that you had any, bad blood after the game? Pretty much you left it on the ice. There was no one that pissed you off, outside. It was just a game
What
thing,
happens on the ice just stays on the ice.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
No one took it any further. That's good.
Never.
That's fucking
Never.
cool.
What do you think, the fight? To me, the most fucking famous fight was ending Kyprios. Was that, for you, what's, the most famous fight for you? Or the fight, at least, that stands out the most in your mind?
Well, that fight kind of got me noticed a little bit. I was a rookie at the time, and
Right.
it was my 4th year pro, and I went into training camp that year. I won the overall fitness award, and I just had to do something to make that fucking team because I was a small guy. I I'm not supposed to make it to the NHL because I was, my stature was not very big. And
It's not long
for
after,
fucking fights. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
It's not long after New York won the cup, by the way. So like that
Right.
team is deep. They're thick. So to get
Shane Churla was on the team,
Yeah.
and Joey Kosher. So those kind of guys were already there, and they're kind of on their way out. I'm a young guy coming in, and so I had to really prove myself. And I mean that's all you can do is just go out there and do your best and show up.
That's highlight reel. Like that's like an absolute impact moment in your career. We got to pull that one up too.
Yeah, well,
Shasman.
I mean,
Thanks,
like that
buddy.
was,
I mean,
it's funny because for the not avid hockey fan or the casual hockey fan, we're going like, oh, we're going to fucking interview Ryan Vandenbussche. They're like, who? You like the guy that knocked out Kyprios? They're like, oh fuck, that guy.
And Kyprios is so famous because he's such a great like sports, sports broadcaster. Everyone kind of knows him now. Like people probably know him more now from broadcasting than they do from when he played.
Right.
But
Yeah.
like
They actually might know more of this.
oh, shit.
Right.
He couldn't have done it without you, Ryan.
These are the good old days where they fucking did a close up.
Madison Square we go for those of you who want to look. Maple Leafs and Rangers, Nick Kyprios, Ryan Vandenbussche. Sort of your typical regular hockey fight until watch Vandenbussche.
So after that
Comes up
fight,
with a
I started thinking about, geez, you can get really injured in this game. And prior to that, I was 23 at the time, and I felt fearless. But after watching that,
Right.
I was like, it kind of
It bothers you because
bothered
you
me
never
a little
wanted
bit.
to
Yeah,
hurt
you don't-
someone like that.
no.
You want to win,
Right.
and a knockout
You
feels
wanna
good.
win.
But like you're human, and
Yeah.
you know that this guy's playing your role. The role could be reversed.
absolutely.
That kind of humanizes you as a young man, I think.
It did, and I was like, you know what, that could have been me. It was just a lucky punch I got him with, and
he's a
he could have
competitor
got
like
me,
you
and I
and
was like,
anyone else.
fuck, man, you can get really hurt playing this stupid game, and it made me.
Well,
think
10
about,
more years.
Yeah, exactly. It pretty much was. Another 10 years later, I was still playing this stupid game.
I mean,
So you ran into him yesterday? Today?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday, right? Isn't that fucking crazy?
On
Tell
the
us the
streets
story
in
you were
Toronto.
telling. Right, tell
I'm
us the
talking
story
with
that
a
you were
couple
telling.
guys, and all of a sudden Nick Kyprios is walking by. I'm like, what the fuck?
And you guys are cool.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah,
that's great, though.
Yeah, I saw him not long after that. Yeah.
But you're in Toronto. Like that's a busy place.
I've been in Toronto all the time. I never run into Nick fucking Kyprios.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Cool.
No hard feelings. I mean, he knows it's just part of the job.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pivot just for 1 second. For a guy like, and you maybe you do, maybe you don't want to talk about it. But for a guy like you, do you have any aches and pains from the days of going out there and like brutalizing guys?
Well, I've had 12 surgeries over the course of my career, north of 20 concussions, and many broken bones on top of that. So, I do have aches and pains.
Right.
But it's
I mean, worth it. Worth every.
yeah. Would I change anything? No, but I would.
Right.
Looking back, I just look at what an idiot I was the way I treated my body. They give you anti-inflammatories after a game, and they tell you make sure you get food in your belly before you take your anti-inflammatories, and you go out and you take your anti-inflammatories with a beer or a few beers,
or 12,
or 12, and then at the end of the night you eat, and it's just. The nutrition is a big thing, and I think nowadays with these kids that they're so
got somebody
good, and they're so
hovering over
fast,
them,
they got
right?
somebody really educating them on the importance of knowing what's going in your body and eating proper foods and medication.
So Tyler flipped me an article before we even did this, and it was about CBD oil.
Yeah.
So you, from like as an ex-professional athlete, fucking, it's working for you as far as like those types of aches and pains. I mean, are your knuckles still swelling up or anything like that?
Yeah, I have various things that go a little bit wonky with me, and my left hand is one of them. Like sometimes, for some reason, I get these stabbing feeling in my hand. But CBD oil seems to help.
Okay.
Cannabis does, and I think it's a better alternative medicine. Someone introduced me to that back in 2010 that I could grow up for myself, and I started doing that back then.
Oh, right on.
And I got off the opiates. That's a whole nother topic. But looking back, opiates, Percocets and Vicodins and Oxycontins and Ambiens to sleep at night.
You're super chill right now. Were you always pretty super chill?
Yeah.
Like even in the league?
Yeah.
Fucking, none of it makes sense. Your fucking stature, your demeanor. To be this fucking guy.
You get on the ice and you're just it's a different game,
right.
You're fighting for survival on that ice. Right. You know, I worked hard for those 2.5 minutes that I averaged.
Yeah, right. It's all the fucking training to hit the bag before you go out there.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So one of the things we were kind of just shooting the shit outside before this, and you had mentioned you said you've been in almost as many street fights as you were on the ice. Like
come on,
do you got any street fight stories for us? Like we love a good off ice scrap. I'm sure you get a couple.
Yeah.
Too many from the crowd.
Wait, who said that? Can you
His wife.
Can you come and tell it?
Oh my God.
I grew up with a brother that was 16 months older than me, and so we didn't see eye to eye, and we ended up scrapping a lot. And my dad would separate us and give us boxing gloves and make us go at it again. And he said the winner had to fight him.
Yeah.
So it started back then, and then there's just there's a lot of stories that you could talk about, but there's one that's probably, I'm sure you looked it up and it was in the paper.
Turkey Point?
Turkey Point. That was a nasty one. But, it's just...
So what happened at Turkey Point?
Well, I
just want to hear, I want to hear your side.
I won't go into the details.
It's dollar draft now.
But you come out and you see a guy getting his ass kicked, a good buddy of yours, by two guys. And, of course, you pull them off. And then all of a sudden... to be honest with you, I can talk about it because it's all over with now. But I took a blow to the head, and I don't recall anything happening after that. But apparently, I hit a cop and broke his nose and broke his orbital bone, and I was put in jail for freaking 4 days, and it was nasty. Yeah, so it was not a good time in my life, and it definitely. Didn't help my career. It was near the end of my career. So, but it's just one of those things that it was in a wrong place at the wrong time, and sticking
wrong
up for
place
a
at the
friend.
wrong time, doing the right thing.
Yeah, well,
to the wrong guy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So,
it goes to show you though too, like the NHL doesn't. I feel like they just don't value the enforcer the way that they should. Like, I mean, you put in so many years of service for like something like that, where it ultimately was thrown out and resolved. But it did hurt you in your career. Like they didn't. Did they not have your back, or
well,
did you feel that you felt like that it was a detriment,
Well, for sure. I mean, I was 34 years old, and what are you doing scrapping outside of the, off the ice? So, I mean, it was just one of those things that,
Don't give him a reason, you gave him a reason.
And I gave him a reason, exactly. So, when I got out of jail, I got an offer from the Ottawa Senators, which I should have taken, and then after that, I didn't take it. And
you're like, fuck Ottawa.
So, yeah. Cool. But
man. But like it's amazing the career that you did have. I mean, like if you look at like just the laundry list of people that you went through, it's insane. The one that the boys were talking about before too is the rivalry that you had. I guess I don't think it was even a rivalry, but was it Stu Grimson? You guys had a series of fights. Can you walk us through that one? Because I think people wanted to hear about that one.
So my rookie year, I was brought up to the Rangers a few different times. And prior to my first fight with Stu, I didn't scrap for the first 5 games or whatever, and I felt kind of anxious. I'm like, I got to show my shit, right? Right. So I get on the ice against Stu, and I go after him right away, and he says, no, not right now. I'm like, oh shit, okay. So I finish my shift, and I get back on the ice again, and I'm running around, I'm hitting everybody, and then I get hit in the boards, my helmet pops off, and who's standing there? Stu. So he comes on. Yeah, at the end of my shift, he comes on, and so we square off. So he got the better of me. There's no about it. The only thing I proved in that fight was I could take a punch. But I got a bit of a long memory when it comes to that. Right. So then about 3-4 years later, I'm playing against him. He's with Anaheim. I'm with Chicago at the time. So I'm like, I'm going to go after him. And I'm thinking this to myself. So I went after him, and I ended up breaking his nose. And so in between periods, I'm in there in the dressing room, and Dave Manson was on our team. And he says, Bushy, Stu's going to want to fight you again because you broke his nose, and he's not fucking happy. He's going to want to fucking fucking murder you. So just do yourself a favor and do not fight him. And,
Who would be?
So,
Who would be happy?
So, sure as shit, we get on the
delighted.
ice. Yeah, we're in Anaheim. I get on the ice, and then who am I lined up beside? Of course, they put Stu out there, and he doesn't say a word. The puck drops, and he
This
just
is the
drops
same
his glove.
game.
Same game. Yeah,
Holy
so this is
fuck,
round
he
two.
goes back out with a broken nose.
Yeah, so he goes back with a broken nose and wants to fight me again. He comes in and just he breaks my nose.
And he's a big boy too,
Right.
6'5".
Yeah.
Probably?
Yeah. So he breaks my nose, and then I get down.
It's like Adrian in the fucking crowd going, "Not again, Brock."
But I get back up and I start throwing him again, and he ends up falling, and then there's blood coming out of everywhere. But it looks like it's coming out of him, but it's actually coming out of my nose.
Oh yeah. The
And then
jersey's
about
just
2
fucking
weeks
drenched.
later, we're playing against Anaheim again in Anaheim, and I line up against him, and he says, "Let's keep it clean." And I look at him, I have no problem with that.
That's great.
All right, let's
quite the
show that
rivalry.
fucking the Grimson fight for the last.
If you can find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not. Whatever.
No. The second one. And the third. Round 1 and 2. Yeah. Oh, that's the hard part. Not this one. This is a bad one.
Don't do Bushy like that. Get the other one.
TKO, Stu Grimson's, and the Revenge. That's got to be it. Number 3.
Number 2 and 3 is what you want.
Who the fuck? From Beach Cat, yeah.
So right here. This is where I break his nose.
Oh.
So now the period ends, and I'm in a room, and Dave Mance is like, he's not happy.
You break his nose, and he goes, "Don't fight him. He's not going to be happy." What?
It is-
Stu Grimson left quickly hitting Stu Grimson and then put him back on his hind legs. And Vandenbussche trying to stir a little emotion in the Blackhawks was sent down just a few days ago.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, baby. Oh man, that's great. The no, there's some guys on hockeyfights.com. They had some questions, and
Well, let's give him.
we got to most of
Right.
them. We got to most of them just like naturally through the interview, but there's a couple that I think are like are worthy. What was the hardest punch that you ever took?
I have my nose broken 3 times. LaRock, Belak, and Grimson. And,
Oh, okay.
and yeah.
All
there's-
weapons.
Any one of those.
Yeah.
All right, and the other one. Would you have fought differently today with the face shields? Like if you think that.
No, you get in tight, and my thing was I try to get the helmet off
Yeah.
and get in tight, get a good grip in the front, get a good grip in the back of the helmet, pull the helmet off, push away, and you're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I think people put a lot of emphasis on the face shields, how it is different like now. But when you start out in junior, like you're ripping off full cages. You know what I mean? You're ripping the bird cages
Junior,
off.
you would just drop your helmet and you just square off.
Well, I mean, like before junior A, but like junior C and stuff, guys got full cages
Right,
still, right?
yeah.
So like you learn that in like
You learn that. The
Right?
only,
So,
when
like,
you
just-
hit a cage, the only thing you're hurting is yourself.
Yeah,
so get
but
the
you're gonna
helmet
get
off.
to someone.
Right,
You're gonna
right.
get to them somehow. So like now I guess it's like you're just kind of back to that.
Yeah.
Back to that status. Let me find the other one here. There's just a couple good ones. Oh, your fight against PJ Stock was amazing. What was it like fighting a guy like PJ Stock? Because he's a smaller guy.
Yeah, I didn't like fighting guys smaller than me or the same size as me because there's a lot of pressure on me to win. So
Right.
Yeah, you got nothing to
You got the
gain.
reputation.
You got
don't
nothing to
the-
gain and
That's
everything
right.
to lose.
That's
I think,
right.
I think that's like kind of like what I mean.
All right.
A lot of guys run into, right? That pressure. Is there anyone that you didn't get to fight that you wish you got to fight?
I pretty much fought anyone who I wanted to fight. It was
Right.
Yeah.
I was in over 300 bare knuckle scraps on the ice.
Right.
There's a lot of
Yeah, you
guys that
felt like you
battled.
got your fill.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, that's pretty good, man. I mean, you've been so generous with your time, and everybody and all the people watching here tonight. We're so glad you guys came out. And and Pete, the boys, and
thanks so much. Yeah, Pete Van Dyke, everyone, make some noise.
Yeah.
And
really cool
and his whole crew. Now I got a question for you. One more before we go. Pete Van Dyke was telling us before you wanted to kick his ass before you guys knew each other. You married Pete Van Dyke's sister. But,
yeah. He's still getting me for that.
Pete Van Dyke's a hilarious stand-up comic, and he has his own podcast like us, and he's the guy who runs Spiky Ball Studio, where we're recording this whole thing. But you're married to his sister, and before you met his sister, you wanted to kick the shit out of the very handsome Pete Van Dyke. Come on stage, Pete. Come on, get a good look at this guy. Yeah, Pete Van Dyke, everyone.
Now, this is something you told me one time. This is something you told me one time.
Oh, jeez.
Drunk at the wedding.
You said, but this is before Lisa, of course. This is when you were going out with someone before Lisa.
Right.
This is like a wedding speech.
And she found me handsome, right?
Probably.
So you saw me at the Turkey Point Hotel. You thought it would be a fun time to beat the shit out of Pete Van Dyke because of didn't you say like you used to want to kick my ass? Never?
No, I don't. Why would I want to kick your ass?
Because your girlfriend at the time thought I was super handsome.
Well, that's probably a good thing because you're off my hands then. I never wanted to kick your ass, Pete. Come on.
Pete Van Dyke was so handsome. No, Pete Van Dyke.
I believe it to the day I die that I was so handsome that Ryan wanted to punch me in the face.
It was the only thing you had on him.
That's the only thing you got to at least give it to me.
Pete Van Dyke was so handsome.
I'll tell you do that. You got to remember back in you're like 19 years old or something.
Yeah.
Full of piss,
No.
You're at the Turkey Point Hotel. You're chasing tail too. Let's be honest here, my friend.
Hey, maybe you're hitting on my girlfriend. I don't know.
I'm not hitting on her. But my good looks make it seem that way. And then
Pete Van Dyke is so handsome, you married his sister, so you'd have to compete against that motherfucker.
That's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Guys,
thanks so much, guys.
Big round of applause. Pete Van Dyke for coming up.
Gentlemen, let's hear it for Tyler Morrison.
Ryan Vandenbussche, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
The fucking
Ryan,
man.
thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Honestly, so great. Thank you so much, guys. And thanks for tuning in to Fight Stories, you guys. This is going to be airing. We start the season 2 in September. It's going to be available on iTunes, YouTube, all those platforms where you're getting podcasts. And thanks so much for coming out and being part of the live event. And supporting the podcast, and obviously being part of Ryan's life here, and being a supporter. You guys are great. Thank you so much, Del High. I'm Tyler Morrison, John Moses. One more time for Ryan Vandenbussche.
Hey, that's another episode of Fight Stories. Thanks so much for checking it out. Make sure you comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Tell all your little dweeb friends about us. Big thanks to Ryan Vandenbussche for being part of it, and Pete Van Dyke for having us down at Spiky Ball Studios, and of course Tyler Shazma and the crew for their amazing video work. You guys made it happen. Now, if you guys enjoy the live episodes of Fight Stories, we got some good news, because we have some that you can attend before the season's over. November 10th, New York City, we're going to be at New York Comedy Festival doing a live recording. John and I are down there on November 10th at Old Man Hustle Comedy Club in Brooklyn. It's the new club. Tickets are only $5. I can't think of a better way to spend a Sunday night in New York City. Come on out to that one at the New York Comedy Festival. Also, November 22nd, we are in St. Louis at Trainwreck Saloon Westport. It's St. Louis Blues Alumni Fight Night with the boys at Fight Stories, and we have couple heavy hitters coming in. I can't wait. This is probably going to be the season finale. We have Darren Kimball and Cam Jansen and maybe a couple other special guests. You never know who's going to pop in. That city is cup crazy right now, so make sure you check it out. November 22nd, Trainwreck Saloon, Westport. It's going to be amazing, guys. That's been Fight Stories. I'm Tyler Morrison. We'll catch you next week.